A few weeks ago, Ed Brisson's New Mutants number 10 came out, a reboot of the New Mutants classic team for the current X era. And in that issue, he snuck in a recipe. He has Glob Herman, a young mutant whose body is made of living wax, slip a little recipe for vegetarian Laksa in, and not only did it look real, it looked pretty damn good. I've always told people that the elevator pitch for this show is basically Alton Brown on comics, so this week I did turn it into a cooking show. Hi, I'm Dan Umpton, and this is the DOOMCAST. So Ed Brisson has used Glob as a character multiple times before, most pivotally in the Age of X storyline. So when I saw Glob's recipe, I tweeted at Ed and I asked him about the recipe, where it came from. Hey Ed Brisson, next week in the DOOMCAST, I'm going to make Glob's Laksa recipe. I'm a longtime vegetarian and the recipe looks dope. Can I ask, is this yours? What is the story behind the recipe? Are you vegetarian or just a big fan of Southeast Asian cuisine? Or is Glob? And it turns out that he was cool enough to respond to me. Yeah, the truth is I did sneak a recipe of mine in. I've been vegetarian for nearly 25 years, holy shit, and love most all Asian cuisine. I used to live in Vancouver, which is incredible in selection of restaurants, but 2 years ago moved to Halifax, which doesn't have nearly as much. So I started teaching myself how to cook the food I missed, including Laksa. Regarding New Mutants, I always wanted to round Glob out and wanted him to find his place in the group, which he does through cooking. I gave him backyard chickens, also did in Age of X-Men, because I loved the idea of it. But I couldn't imagine him eating them, so I decided to make him vegetarian. Also, if you make the recipe, I left out instructions to thaw the tofu after freezing. Can take a few hours. End. Well, thanks, Ed. Let's get started. So Laksa looks like it's pretty similar to Thai curry or Vietnamese curry, which I'm used to doing, where you take coconut milk, the first ingredient of the soup base, and fry it along with Thai chili paste. In this case, I'm using green curry paste because I couldn't get to Wong's Asian Market in time because their hours have changed because of the pandemic. So I just used this generic curry paste. But most Thai and Vietnamese curries are based that way. But our ingredients are 3 14-ounce cans of coconut milk. I assume the coconut milk's a lot fresher on Krakoa. 4 cups of vegetable broth. This is from BOULLIon. 1 pound of tofu, frozen and cubed. I know some of you guys think tofu is tofu. It is not. If you freeze it, it actually absorbs flavor like a mushroom does, so it's going to taste incredible in this, I think. Tablespoon of lemongrass paste. I don't know how you would get this done if you didn't buy it pre-pasted, because lemongrass is hard as shit. And then I microplaned 2 tablespoons of ginger. Got 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Liquid AMINOS Bragg's is the only soy sauce I use, just because it has a specific je ne sais quoi to it. I don't know what it is. And then your fresh lime juice and 3 tablespoons of really simple brown sugar. So let's get this started up in this crock pot. So while we wait the 4 hours for this soup to simmer, let's talk about Glob Herman. Why is a guy named Glob cooking Indonesian soup anyway? Glob, whose full name is Robert Herman, was introduced by Grant Morrison in New X-Men, and he was part of a group of mutants, many of whom had no practical application for their powers, like Beak, another favorite of mine. I love the idea because why would every single mutation be expressly useful? Well, creative writers have managed to pull that off frequently. Glob's body is made of a living paraffin wax, and while that's flammable, it doesn't actually harm him to burn. Also, his wax played a big part and pivotal role in the Age of X-Man storyline, where a shared hallucination created by X-Man and Legion, who were both the same long story, Glob's wax broke the hold of that hallucination on both himself and other people. Also, being the gentle person he is, and like Ed explained, he's delighted in raising free-range chickens, both as companion animals and for eggs. Hence the inclusion of the eggs in the recipe. Although, if you're vegan, you could just omit the eggs, and it's a vegan recipe. I imagine you could sub in some seitan or more tofu if you wanted to. I'm a huge fan of Morrison's run on New X-Men, of Glob, Beak, Angel, No Girl, Quentin, and the rest of that crew. And New Mutants is a great book for fusing the classic New Mutants team with the newer characters, especially the ones from Grant Morrison's run. Anyway, I feel like I've been talking for about 4 hours, so that soup should be just about close to ready. So we're gonna go ahead and add the ramen. I'm using a rice ramen to boiling water and let that cook. You can probably use whatever kind of noodles you want. You could probably use rice noodles. You could use standard ramen, I'm sure. I'm using rice ramen because that's what I like to go with. I'm also gonna make the mushrooms. The recipe doesn't call for it, but I'm gonna saute them first. I've got, the recipe calls for cremini mushrooms. I'm using baby bellas because you're gonna be amazed to find out that they are exactly the same thing. Cremini versus whatever, baby bella, their marketing names are common white bulb mushrooms. Baby bellas just look slightly different. I've also thrown in some shiitake in there as well because shiitake mushrooms are delicious as shiitake. Now, it's kind of fitting that this recipe has cilantro and was in the New Mutants, because if you are one of the people that is like, oh, cilantro tastes like soap, congratulations, you yourself are actually a mutant. That is something that only a small portion of the population actually feels. And unfortunately, if it was an opinion, you would be wrong. Cilantro is amazing. I'm also adding green onion. I could be wrong. I'm just cooking these down because I don't have faith that they won't end up chewy in the actual soup. And that ramen hardly takes any time at all to cook, so it's probably dang near done. All right, turn off these noodles. And I'm just parboiling the ramen, which is like just getting the ramen to a point where it's mostly done, not all the way done, even though it just takes about 3 minutes because that soup's gonna heat it up. And I gotta tell you, it's kind of astonishing to me that I've never done this as a cooking show before, but I haven't, but maybe you wouldn't know it because this seems to be going surprisingly smoothly. Just gonna put those green onions up in there as well. Mushrooms and onions. The Sam Guthrie and Bobby DaCosta of vegetables. So we'll just go ahead and add it to the soup bowl. Got a hefty amount of mushrooms and tofu in there. I thought the tofu would break apart. I was absolutely wrong. If I'd known better, I probably would have cut it better. But I didn't, and that's that. We'll just add a little cilantro, maybe too much cilantro as a garnish. So let's see how it tastes. Wow, that actually turned out pretty amazing. Yeah, the tofu soaked up pretty much everything, so that's solid. Yeah, all in all, I feel like I'd probably do this again. That is pretty solid. I could have gone a little hotter. I don't have any, maybe that's too hot. I don't have any spicy chili crisp. I don't know if that means like the sambal oelek or like sriracha. I don't know. Ed, you'll have to fill me in. This is good. It's very good. I'm definitely going to do this again. So you probably noticed one thing that I didn't add, which was on the recipe, which was mung bean sprouts. I gotta make sure you wash them, but I forgot to put them in. I am not Professor X, but it's okay, because you could pour this soup over practically anything. Noodles, rice, riced cauliflower, or with even hot veggies if you wanted to. I have never done a curry or curry-based soup in a crock pot, but it worked amazingly well. The soup base itself could practically be the meal, and the leftovers the next day. I can't believe I get to do this. Maybe other X-Men writers will throw in their recipes. You know, maybe we'll get Jerry Dugan's Shadow Cakes. Maybe Teenie Howard has a Gambit Etouffee or a Braddock Bangers and Mash. I hope Leah and Vita have something up their sleeves. I'm really pumped for your books too. I'm sure Ben Percy has some sort of Canadian steak recipe, and John Hickman and Zeb Wells have some slow cooker 24-issue recipe that I would love that ends in a dramatic cliffhanger and then starts a whole new arc. I know Jordan D. White's got to have some kind of weird mustache-twirling evil Shadow King dessert somewhere, so bring them on. Put the recipes in there. I want to read them. I want to make them. But thanks everybody for watching. From the Doomcast family to yours, paraffin wax-covered bone appetit.